From a stone fortress sitting in the middle of a Clarendon cow pasture that nobody can definitively prove who built, to an entire town in the Blue Mountains that the forest swallowed so completely, the British stopped sending soldiers to look for it. Jamaica is covered in ruins that don't match the story most of us were taught about this island. Some of them are older than Columbus. Some were carved by people who were never supposed to have the time, the tools, or the freedom to build anything at all. These are 10 ancient ruins deep in the Jamaican jungle that shouldn't be there. If you like the parts of the Caribbean that never make it into the tourist brochure, hit subscribe. New breakdowns every week. Now let's start at number 10. Number 10. Green Grotto Caves, Runaway Bay. Drive along the north coast between Ocho Rios and Discovery Bay, and you pass a limestone hillside covered in scrub and dry forest. Underneath it sits a cave system that has been hiding people for at least 1,000 years. The Taino were here first. They used these chambers for shelter and for ceremony long before a single European ship appeared on the horizon, and the smoke stains on the ceiling are still there. Then in 1655, when the English took the island, Spanish colonists ran into these same caves while they organized their escape to Cuba. The stalactites they hid behind are still standing exactly where they left them. After that, it was runaway slaves, then smugglers, then rum runners during Prohibition, moving cases through the dark toward the coast. During the Second World War, the local story is that the caves were used to store supplies, and some people in Runaway Bay will still tell you German submarines were involved, though there is no hard proof of that. What makes it strange is the geography. There is an underground lake down there, deep and still and green, sitting in total darkness. And there is a chamber the guides call the dance hall, because the acoustics are almost architectural. Nobody designed it or carved it. The water did, but standing in it feels like standing in a room someone designed on purpose. That is the thing about the Jamaican interior. It hides people extremely well, and it has been doing it for 1,000 years without ever needing a single wall. Number 9. Mountain River Cave, St. Catherine. Head inland toward Cudjoe Hill, past the last house on the last road, and you climb through bush for about half an hour before the ground opens up. Inside that cave are about 150 drawings. Birds, turtles, frogs, human figures with their arms raised, a hunter with what looks like a spear. They were made with charcoal and animal fat by Taino people who lived here somewhere between 500 and 1,300 years ago, which means some of this art was already ancient when Columbus landed in 1494. Here is what gets me. Jamaica's official history usually starts in 1494. Everything before that gets compressed into a paragraph about a peaceful people who were wiped out. But these drawings are not a paragraph. They are a record. Somebody stood in that cave with a burning stick and decided that what they had seen that day was worth putting on a wall so that other people would see it later. They were right. We are still looking at it, and we still do not know a single one of their names. The cave is a protected National Heritage Site now, and you need a guide from the local community to reach it. That is not a formality. Without one, you will not find it, because the jungle closed over the path a long time ago. Number 8. Sevilla la Nueva, St. Anne. In 1509, the Spanish founded their first real settlement in Jamaica, just west of what is now St. Anne's Bay. They called it Sevilla la Nueva, New Seville. It was supposed to be the capital of the entire island. They built a fort. They built a governor's house. They started a church out of cut stone, with carvings so detailed that fragments of them are still displayed today. This was meant to last 500 years. It lasted about 25. By the 1530s, the Spanish had abandoned it and moved inland to found Villa de la Vega, which we now call Spanish Town. The usual explanation is disease and bad drainage, that the site was low and swampy, and people kept dying. Whatever the reason, an entire planned capital city was simply walked away from, and the bush took it back. Today, you can stand in a green field in St. Anne and see low stone foundations poking through the grass. Under your feet is the outline of the first European town in Jamaica, and under that is a Taino village called Mima that was there long before the Spanish arrived. Two civilizations stacked on top of each other in the same pasture, and most people drive past it on the way to the beach without slowing down. Number 7. Kennallorth Estate, Hanover. Somewhere off the road in Hanover, surrounded by trees, sits a set of ruins so refined that people who see them for the first time assume they must be from Europe. Kennallorth was a sugar works, built in the late 1700s, but whoever designed it was not thinking like an industrialist. The stonework is cut and dressed. There are arched openings, elegant proportions, a facade that would not look out of place on a public building in Bath or Dublin. Some people call it the finest set of ruins in Jamaica, and standing in front of it, that is easy to believe. And then you remember what happened inside. This was a factory. The beauty of that stone was paid for by enslaved people who crushed cane and boiled sugar in brutal heat, in a building designed to look impressive to the handful of white visitors who would ever see it. The architecture is not innocent. It is a statement about who mattered. That contradiction is what makes Kennallorth unforgettable. It is genuinely gorgeous. It is also a monument to something monstrous. And it sits there quietly in the bush with roots pulling the walls apart year by year, refusing to fully collapse and refusing to fully explain itself. Number 6. Stokes Hall, Great House St. Thomas. Great houses in Jamaica usually follow a pattern. Wide verandas, big windows to catch the sea breeze, built for comfort and for showing off. Stokes Hall was built for none of that. The house went up in the 1600s, on high ground in St. Thomas, and if you walk the walls, you notice something immediately. The openings are wrong. They are narrow, slotted. They are not windows for looking at a view. They are loopholes for pointing a musket through. This was not a home. It was a strong point. The Stokes family came to Jamaica from Nevis in the 1650s, and a huge number of the settlers who arrived with them died within the first year. The survivors built a house they could defend, because the interior of the island was not under anybody's control. The Maroons were in the hills. The Spanish were still fighting. The forest was full of people who had every reason to want the English gone. Today, the shell of Stokes Hall sits half swallowed by bush, and the gun slots are still there, pointing at trees that were not there when the house was built. Whatever the family was watching for, the jungle eventually came instead. And that tells you something the textbooks tend to soften. The English did not arrive in Jamaica and quietly take over. They arrived and immediately started building houses they could shoot out of, because for the better part of a century, they did not actually control the island they claimed to own. Number 5. Flat Bridge, Bog Walk Gorge. This one is still in use, which is exactly why it belongs on the list. Flat Bridge crosses the Rio Cobre inside the Bog Walk Gorge, where the river cuts a deep channel through the limestone. The bridge is old. Local history says the foundations go back to the Spanish period, which would put parts of it well over 3 centuries old, and every serious flood since then has failed to move it. It has no railings, none. You drive across a narrow stone span with the river directly beside your tires and nothing between you and the water. When the Rio Cobre floods, it does not rise politely. It comes up fast and brown and violent, and the bridge disappears under it. Vehicles have gone in. People have died there. Ask anyone in Bog Walk and they will tell you about the River Mumma, the spirit said to live in the water below, and how she takes someone every so often. You can call that superstition. But the practical truth underneath the legend is simple. A Spanish colonial bridge with no barriers is still carrying modern traffic across a river that kills people, and it has been doing that job for hundreds of years without failing. Number 4. Edinburgh Castle, St. Anne. In the 1760s, a Scotsman named Lewis Hutchinson built a stone house in the hills of St. Anne. It had 2 round towers, which was unusual, and a commanding view of the road, which turned out to be the point. Hutchinson would invite travelers in. Rum, conversation, a bed for the night. Then he would kill them. He did not hide his behavior particularly well. He took their possessions. He is said to have kept a record. Nearby is a sinkhole where human bones were later found, and by the time the authorities finally moved on him in 1773, the local road had a reputation nobody could explain away. He fired on the soldiers, escaped to a ship, was captured, tried, and hanged. What is left today is a ruin in the bush that almost nobody visits. 2 collapsing towers, a shell of a house, trees pushing up through what used to be a floor. The reason this one gets under my skin is the mundanity of it. Jamaica has hundreds of colonial ruins, and they all blend together after a while. But this one was purpose-built by a man who used the isolation of the Jamaican interior as a weapon, and the isolation is still there. Stand on that site, and the nearest help is a very long walk away. It felt that way in 1772. Number 3. Accompong and the Cockpit Country. Look at the Cockpit Country from the air, and it looks like something went wrong. Thousands of limestone hills, all roughly the same size, packed together like an egg carton the size of a parish. Between them are sinkholes, caves, and sudden drops. There are no straight lines. There is barely any soil. Water disappears underground and comes out somewhere else entirely. The British Army could not fight in it. That is the whole story. For decades in the 1700s, the Leeward Maroons under Cudjoe used this terrain to hold off the most powerful military on earth. They knew the caves. They knew which paths were real and which ones dropped into a hole. They used the abeng, a cow horn, to send signals across ridges. And by the time redcoats reached a place, the people they were hunting had already moved. In 1739, the British stopped trying and signed a treaty. The Maroons kept their land and a degree of self-government they still exercise today. Accompong is not a ruin. It is a functioning town that has been continuously free for close to 300 years, and every January 6th, they mark the treaty in Peace Cave, on the spot where it was made. There are ruins scattered through that terrain, settlement sites, burial grounds, defensive positions in caves that have never been properly surveyed. Some of them will probably never be found, because the Cockpit Country still does not want visitors. Mining companies have tried to move into the edges of it more than once, and every time, the people who live there have pushed back hard, which is its own kind of continuity. The same landscape that protected the Maroons is now the thing the Maroons are protecting. Number 2. Nanny Town, Blue Mountains. Deep in the Blue Mountains, above the Stony River, there is a place the maps mark and almost nobody reaches. Nanny Town was the stronghold of the Windward Maroons, led by Queen Nanny, a woman who is now a national hero of Jamaica, and whose face is on the $500 note. From that ridge, her people ran a war. They raided plantations, freed the enslaved, and vanished back into terrain the British could not hold. In 1734, the British finally got artillery up the mountain and destroyed the town. But here's the part that matters. The Maroons were not wiped out. They melted into the forest, regrouped, and kept fighting until the British signed a treaty with them too. The town was destroyed. The people were not. What is left up there now is barely visible. Stone terraces, foundations, fragments the archaeologists who reached the site in the 20th century had to dig out of 150 years of jungle. Getting there takes days of hard hiking through some of the wettest, steepest country in the Caribbean, and local guides will tell you plainly that the site is haunted, that duppies walk it, and that you do not sleep there. I am not going to argue with anyone about ghosts, but I will say this. A few hundred people held a mountain against an empire from that ridge, and the empire had to negotiate. Whatever is up there, it earned the silence. Number 1. Colbeck Castle, Clarendon. And now the strangest one on the island. In the middle of Clarendon, near Old Harbor, surrounded by open land, sits an enormous stone structure with 4 corner towers, a huge arcaded ground floor, and walls that have stood without a roof for something like 300 years. It is called Colbeck Castle, and it is the largest structure of its kind in Jamaica. Nobody can tell you with certainty who built it, when exactly, or why. The most common explanation is Colonel John Colbeck, an English officer who came over with the invasion force in 1655 and ended up with land in the area. That is a reasonable guess. What we do not have is a solid paper trail explaining the thing itself. There is no clear construction record and no agreed date, and the building does not behave like a normal great house. The arcades suggest a grand residence. The towers and the thickness of the walls suggest defense. The scales suggest money that a colonial officer on that land is not obviously supposed to have had. And it was never finished as a home, or it was finished and abandoned almost immediately, depending on which historian you ask. So it just sits there, roofless, enormous, empty. Cattle graze around the base of it, Trees grow inside rooms that no longer have ceilings. Kids climb the arcades. And a structure that would be a national landmark anywhere else in the world stands in a field with a rusting sign and no answers. That is Jamaica. The history is not hidden in a museum. It is out in the bush, half-eaten by roots, and a lot of it has never been properly excavated. Which raises the obvious question: if a building the size of Colbeck Castle can sit in open farmland for 3 centuries, with its origins in dispute, what is still out there, under the canopy in the Blue Mountains and the Cockpit Country, in terrain that swallowed a whole town and hid it from an empire? The honest answer is that no one knows, because the surveys have never been done at the scale the island deserves. So there they are, 10 sites ranging from Taino charcoal drawings older than Columbus, to a Spanish capital that was abandoned after 25 years, to a mountain town where a few hundred free people fought an empire to a standstill, to a castle in a cow field that nobody can fully explain. The pattern is the same every time. Something was built, the jungle took it back, and the story got quietly left out of the version most of us learned. If one of these sites belongs in your parish, or you have walked one of them yourself, drop it in the comments, because the local knowledge is usually better than the paperwork. If you want the next one, watch the video on screen right now, and I will see you there.